3 นาทีนะคะ please wait for we hope in the next 3 minutes we will start จามอนคะดูท่าทางผู้ฟังภาษาไทยน่าจะมีแต่ทางออนไลน์ทางบ้านใช่ไหมโอเคค่ะ
Hello, good morning, everyone.
คน
My name is Nisha Wetpanit. I'm a freelance environmental journalist, and I will be your host today.
ด้านการ
Thank you all for coming here at Student Christian Club in Bangkok, and those who join us online on YouTube and on Facebook of Mekong ASEAN Environmental Week.
นะคะวันนี้นะคะ
This press conference is part of the MEO event or Mekong ASEAN Environmental Week. We are a space for local communities, civil societies, researchers, students, and those who are interested in environmental issues in Southeast Asia and beyond to come together and exchange experiences.
ได้มารวมตัวกันแล้วก็เอาประสบการณ์ต่าง
MEO event will start tomorrow and last until next Tuesday, the 20th of September in Nakhon Phanom province. And the venue will just be right next to the Mekong River, opposite of Laos, and not very far from Cambodia and Vietnam.
ตรงข้ามเป็นชายแดนประเทศลาว
The theme this year is the fake green, from green lines to people's power.
แนวปี
And today we are here with 5 speakers from Thailand, from Indonesia, Brazil, South Korea to discuss on what does the fake greens mean.
วิทยากรนะคะแลกเปลี่ยนความ
For those who are unfamiliar with the term fake green or what we might be familiar with greenwashing means to mislead the public that a company or other entity is doing more to protect the environment than what they actually doing. And today we will discuss on that, on what does it mean for us here in Southeast Asia and with colleagues from other continents.
โลกนะคะรวมทั้ง
For me, I think it's very interesting that we are having this press briefing this week, which Bangkok is holding its first Bangkok Climate Action Week. And just like right here, and in that event, they will talk about new technologies, new solutions, new projects, which meanwhile it could help mitigate climate change, but at the same time, those kind of projects and solutions might consider as greenwashing. And I would love to introduce our speakers here today. So we have just right next to me, Professor So Yun Kim from University of Sogang from South Korea. Professor So Yun Kim, she studies about the impact of international development aid. And next to her is Leticia Oliveira from the Movement of People Affected by Dams, or MAP, M-A-B. And she's from Brazil, and she will talk about community resistance against greenwashing from hydropower projects in Brazil and South America. And right next to Leticia is Premridi Daoryang from Project Sevena Southeast Asia and the host of MEL event. And Premridi, as a veteran environmental human rights defenders, will talk about the situation and give us a snapshot about environmental situation in Southeast Asia and the Mekong. And next to her is Winnie Overbeek from World Rainforest Movement. World Rainforest Movement is an international international initiative that contributes to struggles and reflection of political actions of forest-dependent people in Global South. So Winnie will talk about the forestry and how that sector is contribute to green, so-called green economy in the Mekong and in South America. And last but not least, we have Mera Johansia from Nugao Institute from Indonesia. So his organization has been following the transparency in government and private sector projects, especially in Kalimantan, in Indonesia, that there has been a so-called green industrial projects that try to promote green economy, but it might risk affecting communities. So the structure of this press briefing, we will have each speaker present their insights for 7 minutes each, and then after that we will have around 30 minutes and 40 minutes for discussion and Q&A. So those who are with us here today in person and those who are online on Facebook and YouTube, you can comment your questions in, and our team will put together at the end. Okay, so here may I invite our first speaker, Kun Premridi, will give us about the understanding of why are we here today and why we are talking about the fake green. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello. All right. Thank you, Nisha. Thank you, Nisha. Thank you, Nisha, and thank you for being our moderator today. Good morning, everyone. First of all, as one of the organizing team of Mekong ASEAN Environmental Week 2025, I'm very excited that finally MEL 7 is begun. Today, we called it press conference, but actually probably we can also call it part of the pre-MEL activity that we allow ourselves to talk about the issues that we think is important. Definitely we grab the opportunity that we are welcoming our friends from different countries, the area that just arrived to Bangkok in order to participate in MEL 2025 in Nakhon Phanom province. Then we get together here and we would like to do something in Bangkok, the very original place of MEL. So we arrived the year 7 of Mekong ASEAN Environmental Week already. I think my duty today is just to say a little bit why we choose the theme Fake Green. Of course, for the people who know Mao or participate in Mao from before, as Nisha also mentioned, Mao is the time or the gathering place, like the open market, no, for the activists from the civil society group, the local community, young people, artists, academia, and other group that paying more attention to the deep meaning of what's happening in the region. So we are always looking at the highlight issue of the region, and very interesting that when the co-organizing team or the co-organizer of Mao, which we always have more than 35 organizations, try to find the theme. And when we come up with the issue of the green lie or fake green, nobody say no to that. I think probably it's because the situation of using the word green in the region is very obvious. It's too clear to say no. Of course, in the term of the wording, what kind of wording we want to use is one thing, but the meaning of it is there just right in front of us. And for me, as a person who's working on hydropower dam for quite a long time, I think of course, for decades, at least 2 decades, 3 decades ago, right, we are more familiar with the issue of clean, right, clean energy. And as an environmental activist, we always argue that you cannot say that the hydropower dam or the Mekong mainstream, for example, is the source of the clean energy. Nothing clean in it politically, right, because it's result lots of disastrous to the environment, natural resources, and people's livelihood. The word green is not so different. Talking about that clean, is clean and green, right? And that's why we have the word greenwashing to make it clean. So it's the same. And I think one obvious concern, for example, a couple years ago when we have heard that Singapore start to buy electricity from the hydropower from Laos, and Singapore gave the reason very clearly. This is because this energy is a clean energy. And we keep arguing that you should not, even with the media, we beg for the media not to reproduce this word, clean energy. Please do not use it as a high, kind of what you call the headline, no? So people, the ordinary people keep hearing the word clean along with the word hydropower dam. For the people who live along the river, it's not fair. This is what, and just a few days ago, right, the civil society group in Southeast Asia just get together to criticize the plan, the strategic plan of ASEAN, the next 20 years of ASEAN. Right now we have the strategy, the report called Our Shared Future Strategy came out, and the whole report keep talking about sustainability and the green ASEAN. But at the same time, ASEAN as an ASEAN state has no intention to really make it green, right? It's still admit that 80% of the energy in Southeast Asia is fossil fuel. We are interested in to expand the LNG, producing. At the same time, ASEAN want to be the mining hub, and ASEAN have no issue about hydropower dam and even the nuclear power plant. So it's very shallow what we see, how our state is designing for this region to be clean and green. So I think so many issues that we are facing, and we do believe that it's very important for all of us to be together, to explore, to discuss, even to debate what is exactly the green. And we really have that intention to make Mao 2025 to be the place for all of us to push, to talk about fake green lives, and definitely the utmost hope of Mao is always we want the last part of the theme this year, people's power. We would like to be part of the event or the movement that's strengthening the people power. I think that's all I have in my 7 minutes. And once again, welcome everyone to Mao. Even you follow us online or you come to Nakhon Phanom. Thank you.
Thank you คุณเปรมฤดีค่ะ Can you pass the mic on to คุณ Vera from Indonesia
ขอเชิญคุณมิรานะคะจากประเทศอินโดนีเซีย
Thank you, Nisa. Good morning, everyone. My name is Merah Johansa. Now I'm joined to the small organization in Kalimantan, Nugal Institute for Social and Ecological Studies. Kalimantan is known as the biggest island in Indonesia, and in Bahasa Indonesia it also means the river island. So river is the heart of Kalimantan Island. Our groups in Nugal Institute is only ordinary people, grassroots and indigenous communities on the ground, on the front line. Me is not important. We try to facilitate the learning circle infrastructure for communities. They important, they also on the front. And we with the community want to strengthening the veto right or the right to say no to every big project who will be damage to their ancestral sacred living space and also their future. So now we focusing on the impact of the hydropower dam and also the energy circuit project. We in Indonesia facing, like Eyang already said, the Green ASEAN project and also the ASEC or the Asia Zero Emission Communities under or leading by Japan Ministry of Energy and Trade of Japan, METI, who will be involving G-Power, Sojitz, Merubeni, a lot of corporations who will be investing to one of the first largest hydro power dam project. It's called Kayan project, 9 gigawatt, with also another hydropower in Papua. We see this situation only giving oligarchy, especially extractive industry oligarchy expansion. For the example, some places who related with the project linking with the brother of the Indonesian president. So this very elite, capitalistic and linking with the oligarchy interests. Under the name of the energy transition, Indonesia cooperation with ASEC is claimed as a net zero emission target for Indonesian target NDC for decarbonization and net zero target in 2060. The second is we also have linking or connecting with maybe friends in especially community in Thailand, because one of the key player of this FAKE GREEN project, the Mentarang project and the Kayan project for the hydropower, linking with the electricity generating authority of Thailand, IGAT. The owner of the 11.53% of Adaro Energy, the Indonesian company who supply the coal for in the name of the energy security, who coming from digging in Kalimantan, especially in East Kalimantan, in our place. They claim to strengthening their business muscle in the Southeast Asia So the Adaro is very key player on this FAKE Green in Indonesia, because the energy also connecting and supply the huge green industrial park in the North Kalimantan, and backing also by Chinese company Singsan, and also linking with the Sarawak energy, because the 15% of this project also linked with the Sarawak from Malaysia. So I want to say this is a circuit of finance and the circuit of destruction of the FAKE Green. So all of this hydropower dam project is claimed as clean energy, and there are more than 200 national strategic projects linking with downstreaming of mineral transition, such as they claim about the green aluminum, also bauxite, nickel for battery and electric vehicle, who also coming from the mining or the extractive industry. So the real cost of this claim of this FAKE Green, under the banner of the clean energy or the oligarchy energy transition, is the real cost is facing by more than 10 villages of Punan indigenous peoples threatened now for their living space grabbing, so land grabbing and the forest grabbing, water grabbing, for more than 20,000 hectares for the electricity in the center of the heart of Borneo now. So there is a largest and the last tropical forest of Borneo now threatened by this corridor of the project. The initiative of the heart of Borneo before is declared by the Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei. And not only that also another project for Kayan Hydro Dam for 9 gigawatt. It also claimed the energy supply for the new capital of Indonesia. As you know, Indonesia tried to replace, to relocate Jakarta as a new capital to Kalimantan, and they very need huge of energy, electricity, and they said this is a very green energy is coming from the large hydropower from PLTA, from the hydro dam project in North Kalimantan. And then we in this year, I think in the first beginning of this year, we have building learning and solidarity exchange with a lot of friends in here in Thailand. We learn so much from the experience of Pakmun Dam, Rasi Salai Dam experience, to talking with discuss with the communities and see how the people in the many decades, 30 years, maybe more than that, 136 megawatt, 20 meter of the height of the hydro dams, it's happened in here. And we try to compare what will be facing in the future in the Mentarang River. There are 1,375 megawatt and 250 meter. Fighting the impact, and we try to exchange learning with the representative 4% from the indigenous Punan communities from Kalimantan. And like I said before, the heart of Borneo, or the Kalimantan river island, we have 14 biggest river on the upstream from 20 biggest river, home of the biodiversity and the conservation. 100 of Jiram. Jiram is the local name for the rapid flow river, home of the 100 fish species, and sacred, very sacred, connected with the indigenous people of Punan livelihood. So we try now to, with the communities, to organizing resistance and strengthening the people power, like the topics of this discussion. The veto right to say no to this giant and huge hydropower. And so we see this people-to-people exchange, including MEO, Mekong and ASEAN Environmental Week 2025, and also maybe about the the fourth international meeting in conference. We try to conduct and collect a lot of information and evidence as a part of formation of the counter knowledge and gaining solidarity so that the community is confident and strong in having sovereignty over its living space and future. So we want want to make our river as our connecting against as a circuit solidarity to against the circuit of the extractive industry who now happen in, like I said before, there is a circuit of finance between Adaro, Thailand, IGAT and the others, and Chinese and the others, to prevent the action against circuit of destruction, and refuse become the circuit of destruction. So I think that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mera, so much for giving us the idea of how like a country is like to reach net zero goals and to build upon the new capital city of Indonesia, like projects like hydropowers pop up. Yeah, and how it impacts the indigenous communities in Indonesia. So here we would like to hear from Leticia, who has been working alongside with the communities who face like problems and issues from dam construction back home.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Perundi, for the invitation here. I am Letícia Oliveira from Brazil. I am part of the movement of people affected by dams and climate crisis in Brazil and in the American continent. And I live in a town called Mariana, where a mining dam broke 10 years ago that resulted in many damages in the region that we are facing until today. I talked a little about the movement. The movement of people affected by dams in Brazil has been in existence for 40 years, organizing mainly people affected by hydropower dams, but also water storage and mining dams, and affected people by floods also participate in the movement. We fight for the right to say no to dams in our communities, for the rights of people affected when the dam was built, because hydropower dams are not green solutions, green alternatives. They are fake green solutions. They cause many damages to the people and to the environment. And because of this also, we fight for another pattern of production and energy use. And over the last 15 years, we in Brazil, together with other movements in Latin America countries, have started a construction of an international movement of people affected by dams. This movement is now present in 20 countries in the American continent, and we call it MAR in Spanish, Movimiento de Afectados por Represas. So we are here in Thailand today and this week participating in MEL to strengthen the relationship between people affected in Brazil, in Americas, and people affected in Thailand, in Asia. We have a history of an international movement of people affected. Here in Thailand, in Haji Salai, was the second international meeting of people affected by dams in 2003. And we visited, together with Indonesian group, Haji Salai and Ubon Ratchathani regions and organizations on February this year, and see the resistance of the people to Punoi Dam and the resistance of the floods against the floods and the situation in Haji Salai until now. How is it? So we already have an international connection between the affected people and want to spread this more, spread this idea of an international movement across the continents. So you have some movements involved in Europe, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. Beside the American movement. And in November, during the COP30 in Brazil, we will hold the 4th international meeting of people affected by dams and the climate crisis, and we will launch the construction of an international movement of people affected, involved all the 5 continents. It's a great challenge to organize a strong international movement of people affected. But we know that is very important because it will increase the power of the people affected to fight for their rights, to confront false green solutions, and fight for popular sovereignty over water and energy. So this is our task. Thank you.
Thank you, Leticia. Okay, so we will hear from Winnie, who also from Brazil as well.
Thank you. Well, my name is Winnie. I'm from Brazil too. I'm part of a small international initiative called World Rainforest Movement. It's a small organization to support struggles of grassroots communities that depend on forest in Latin America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. To defend their territories against several threats. On the one hand, we have extraction of timber, mining, oil, agribusiness to benefit extractive industries, also hydro dams, other infrastructure. It's one big threat for forest, and it has caused a lot of large-scale deforestation over the past decades. And there's yet another threat, and it's much linked to what international actors like the World Bank and governments call solution to the deforestation. I'm talking about protected areas, conservation projects, and reforestation using monoculture. As you know, here in Thailand, eucalyptus, other tree monocultures. And these kind of projects have become not a solution, but another problem for communities. And they have not, these solutions have never addressed large-scale deforestation. Actually, it has been pushed by those who have benefited from large-scale deforestation, like the World Bank and extractive industries. And then, so I'm telling this to say not so much news. When we start talking about green economy later on in the 1990s, it comes a lot because of this problem of climate change. It came on the international agenda. I think what green economy really stands for, and it's good to repeat sometimes some sentences from the past. In the very first conference about the climate problem in Rio, 1992, the president then of the United States, George Bush, he said, the American lifestyle is non-negotiable. And if there is a problem, well, let's transform it in a new business opportunity. I think that sort of synthesizes the green economy because, the climate crisis in a technical way spoken, it's linked to too much carbon, right? Too much greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, so we get this global warming that's technically spoken the climate problem. And there are two sources, the two carbon sources, the fossil fuels, which is the big root, the big cause of the problem, but also deforestation, which is also a cause of the problem, but much less. And in the green economy, the idea is like this. The economy idea is to continue, to continue burning fossil fuels. I mean, that's where the American lifestyle is based on. It's about capital accumulation. And just one figure, a recent report shows that, since the 1990s, fossil fuel burning has only increased. But this report from last year shows that 96% of all the fossil fuel and gas companies in the world, they have plans to expand. And the money they have made in the past 2 years is about 160 times the money that governments internationally have committed for climate action. Just to give you an idea what is the economy about in the green economy. And when we come to green, what is green in the green economy? This is about this other carbon store, right? This carbon store from deforestation, According to the rules of the green economy, that is actually the store that should be protected. Yeah. Whenever we have forest that is not targeted by extractive industries, because this large-scale deforestation since the 1990s also continues. But we talk about forests that is still left because there are people, communities who have taken care of that, and they are very strongly hit by this green economy. So this is all, such a huge contradiction that it can only be presented to the public inventing a lot of lies, right? We need to say some things to make it consumable, to make it nice. And two of these slides I want to highlight to finalize is that, one is what they say to communities, because these are the people we learn from, we are working with. And they say, well, finally the green economy, these carbon projects in the forest, we want to reward you for all the work you have done for now for free to take care of the forest. We have some money, we have some projects. While actually what goes behind this lie is that actually what they say is you don't know how to take care of your forest. You need someone else, an NGO or company, to come here and to make sure that all this carbon in the forest will be protected. So in most of these projects in Latin America, in Africa, Asia, there come restrictions for the use of forests. This hits especially women. In most forest communities, women are extremely dependent on forests. And it's huge. In Latin America, in the Amazon, for example, there is not any community I know about that has not yet been approached by some company to sign carbon project. In Africa, for example, there's one single company that has signed deals with several governments about 24 million hectares of forest carbon projects. And here in Thailand, the plan is to protect more or less half of what they call the green areas. Again, we get this word green used all the time. I don't know what it exactly stands for, try to understand, but just to say this is about a massive land grabbing, taking control of land that communities have taken care for, while the large-scale deforestation continues. And the other big lie in the green economy is this idea that, well, so if we can prevent that communities stop their deforestation, which is a lie, they have never done that in a large scale, companies, governments can neutralize, they can compensate, they can continue emit carbon from this very big carbon store, the fossil fuels, the coal, And this is also a big lie, but it's the logic of the green economy. The result of this large-scale deforestation continues, and also fossil fuel extraction, so carbon emission continue. All of this very important, I think, this is the third time that we have the pleasure, honor to participate in MAU. I think very important to discuss because it confuses so much communities, because they come with the promises, they come with the good, we're going to help you to protect the forest and this and that. It divides very much communities. So it's very important, and that's the objective of MA, to bring grassroots activists, community activists together to discuss, to better understand. It's also important to expose the green economy because, and we talk in a place like in Bangkok with all these electric cars I've already seen driving around. Who knows what's behind these electric cars? What's the story of nickel mining Indonesia? Mira can tell much more about that. It's a tragedy what is happening in these territories, and that's the problem with energy. The whole concept of energy is presented to the people as electricity or fuel without any connection of where this comes from. And then the third, I think very important objective, to build solidarity, to build a stronger movement, like Leticia was telling, around the dams, around the climate crisis, around all the issues important for communities to take care of, to make sure it will be there for next generations. So all of this, I think, is very important, and I hope we have some very good days together, inspiring days. Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie. So to give some facts, so Thailand, Indonesia, Brazil are like the main, most of the carbon credits from our countries are from forestry sectors. And for Thailand, we are increasing forest coverages, and right now it's we are at 37% of the land area in Thailand are considered as forest area, and the government is trying to increase the area. And I think Brazil is also the main supplier for carbon credit to the international market. So right now we are for in terms of carbon credits, we each country is we have voluntary markets, and I think right now we are at the phase that most of the projects we try to trade carbon credit internationally, from some developed countries that they have to offset their carbons. They are looking for opportunities to buy carbon credit from countries that can help them offset, which can come from forestry, or which can come from clean energy such as hydropower projects, or using clean transportation like EV. So that's come to, we see so many development projects that come into under the name of clean energies and green projects. Yeah, so I think right now from our previous speakers, we see some patterns here. So we see that right now, each country is are going under the same claims that they are doing for green purposes. And secondly, this cause impacts to the local communities, whether it's they have been land grabbed or they have been denied rights to say no to projects. And more importantly, these projects are having foreign influence, whether it's from the other states from other countries or from private companies. So here we come with Dr. Soyin Kim, who she has been studying about how foreign influence play part in these green projects.
Hello, my name is Soyeon Kim. I'm the only academic here. So you probably wonder why she's there. And I'm also not famous. So that is always I ask Piyang and why me? And she's like, you are not nobody. Just come on and talk about it. So I always sort of on the almost sidekick to Piyang and try to help, especially during the Sepian Senam Noi Dam collapse. So it's the Korean finance project. So I was translating Korean material to Piyang to communicate and help her. And when she was in Korea to campaign against that particular project, so I was there to help her. So that's my link. But today, what I'm going to do is rather a little bit different, but I'm going to capture every single thing has been said here. So this is my personal journey. So me, 25 years ago, younger, thinner, and look more fresher, was studying PhD, and the title of my PhD thesis was Greening of Aid. So since 25 years ago, I've been always pondering about the usage of the word green. And throughout my PhD research, what I found out was actually greening, to make it green, anything green, was a political process rather than technical process. That everyone talking about technology, that is to make carbon emission less, or less as sulfur and also different kind of thing. But it's a very political process that to reform the existing institutions and our way of life and also our ideas. So that was something I learned throughout that particular journey in the early 2000s by studying what happened during the 1990s. But also, what I found out is very shallow process. So all the discourses have been changed, all the words has been replaced. It's almost like you use Microsoft Word and you find and replace, and also add some of the things rather than actually things are changing. So that was something what I found out 25 years ago. And now here at the Mayo, and Piang was talking about, can you talk something about fake green? So at the moment, all the speakers have been highlighting the, what we call as green transition, right? So mostly, as Winnie highlighted, is very reduced to discussion of carbon emission. And it's something very, it's also very technical oriented debates, but it's far too narrowly focused on the things that very compartmentalized, not just technical, but on one particular issue. So what was highlighted throughout was EV or carbon credit, but it is much more than that. We have to, it actually, the way the word is used actually traps us in very compartmentalized, narrow way of seeing things. So, for example, I'm teaching my undergraduate student in Korea. So we're talking about green economy, and I have this face that I can't tell lie. My face doesn't tell lie, can't tell lie. So I always have very unhappy face, very angry face, and they all, why aren't you happy? Because we're talking about green, it's all good. And then I start talking about deconstructing why green makes me unhappy and angry. And so, that was one of the things that, so, we don't see the whole planet and the people who are living in it. So like Vinny, mentioned, rare earths and all the extractive industry all connected there. The other thing is green and clean energy that we claim to be carbon credit and hydropower, but we forgot what actually dam does. It destroys, we have to log the whole area first. We have to cut down all the trees, and sometimes we don't cut them all. We leave the unprofitable trees over there, and then we just inundate the whole area. By doing so, we're releasing even greater carbon and methane and greenhouse energy gases on the place. So this is something what these days I'm thinking of as just before Mayo. But before I'm off, as the moderator pointed out about my role as researching foreign influence. So I've been looking into so-called development cooperation or foreign aid over the years. So looking into Japanese aid to Philippines or Southeast Asia, and also recently Korean aid to this area. But one thing that always struck me is, currently Korean government is phasing out the coal industry, coal-fired power generation. And then what happens is that these industry has to, can't collapse suddenly, right? So they going out. So it's almost like pollution export. But that happened with the Japanese pollution industry coming to Korea in the 70s. And Korea is doing that to other countries for example, in Indonesia, Cilegon coal fire, and then Korean companies going there. So what I'm trying to say is greening has also different scale issues. So you have greening at home, but you also have greening overseas. So I know it's, again, I'm compartmentalizing this, but at the moment, so in order to have more green at home, governments and business are moving all this less green stuff overseas by the way of carbon credit, etc., etc. So this is something that foreign aid actually supports, in terms of financing, as mentioned. So the circuits of finance to make it green or greener planet, sometimes quite fake. So anyway, so I'm here to conclude. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you for pointing out about how the foreign aid, or foreign finance play part in this. Yeah, because as we say, like, no money is like, without money, like, we cannot make any change. But then, like, what kind of monies are we looking at? And so I think we have around 40 minutes left for discussion and Q&A. So right now we have like online audience and also some folks with us here in person. So anyone have any questions can raise your hand or comment on the chat box. And I think I will just put together all the questions and please like indicate like which speaker would you like to ask. Okay, we have a question.
Maybe the first one is in general, anyone can answer this question. Well, as you guys have been working on environmental and the FAKE GREEN project, do you think that the organization or the people who invest in doing these, that they claim good for the environment, actually not consider it enough in doing things and include the local into doing what they call, what they claim are green? So this have a bad impact, or what would be the cause of the problem? That would be my question. Like I would like to know if they are not considered enough, or maybe they start new things and don't know how to do it right.
Okay, so may I summarize the question just for the online audience in microphone? So you are asking that whether like the project developments are they like doing it like genuinely, or they just like it's because of their lack of knowledge or others like skills, so they cannot see the impacts of these so-called green projects, right? You get it right? Okay. So anyone want to address this question?
So we think that they planned to do the forest green like this, like they do, because they want to create business with this and create more profit with this. The proposal of the companies and the oligarchy is not solve the problem, but continue earning money, continue get profit with the lives of the people, with the life of the environment. So it's a planned action to confuse the people, to confuse the society, and continue having power with the exploitation of the communities.
Maybe I add a little bit. I think your question is focusing directly about the actor. No, I mean, when we are looking at the situation around the world, using what political ecology, looking at the actor in development, I think that's maybe the best way to analyze and to answer your questions, whether those actors knowing exactly what they are doing, or because of that they're ignorant, right? So if you divide the state, if you looking at the different actors, right, in this scenario, local community, state, company, and kind of the influential actors like big countries or something, they are all playing different role, right? And of course, they have different nature. The question is that when you invest in the local community, we often found that, for example, the company might found it's not necessary to understand what's going on the ground. Once they have got the concession or permission from the state, they can just go. So oftenly we can see that the company said to us that we already fly, helicopter around the area, no people there, right? But we know exactly there are the community living there for 100 years. So they're lacking of interest, not lacking of knowledge, lacking of interest to understand how people use and relying on the resources. So we cannot tell that it's a complete ignorance. But I think what the example we have found throughout our work is that it's very difficult to really make them understand that you have to have the people in this scenario, the voice of the local, the people who use the resource is very important. And they should have been the one who allow the development to happen in the area, not only designed by the state and only the corporate, for example. That's, in general. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add in the Indonesian experience or situation. So one of our problem in our political and energy sector is conflict of interest. So the corruption issues, like you see, a few weeks ago or a few months ago, there is a huge demonstration and protest from Indonesian peoples to the parliament, because more than half of the parliament members is connecting to the extractive industry also and the oligarchy. For the example, like I said before, for political decision to choosing the industrial park for the green industrial park, the biggest green industrial park in Kalimantan, is linking or connecting with the conflict of interest, because the landowner of the land that they already choosing is linking with the one of the main ministries of Indonesian cabinet, and they have also the company to operating this industrial park Adaro, and also in Kayan hydropower dam. Why they putting the label of the National Strategic Project, PSN, we call it PSN as a National Strategic Project, because it's giving more easy for doing business there, for the procedure, for the process, and also by the brother of, operating by the brother of the president of Prabowo. So there is a lot of corruption issues and conflict of interest, like already told before. It's a political heavy. So the oligarchy already hijacking the energy transition issue in Indonesia. That's the situation now.
Thank you. And I have a following question. By the way, does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. I have a following question. Like, I wonder, like, you all here have been like fighting against like hydropowers, like since like together alongside with the communities for 30 years, and so like have like the way the public look at hydropowers like back then and right now, have it changed?
Have it changed?
That's for you.
Yes.
It is probably when we are talking about a national level, right, or regional, maybe it's slightly different as well. For example, maybe the energy from hydropower and from other projects from outside of Thailand is probably less than 10% of the whole energy consumed in Thailand, right? So in terms of the actual energy, it's not very attractive, right? So I think the hydropower dam issue has been hiding pretty, deep, in from the interest of the public in Thailand, for example. But when Pak Mun Dam or the Connect with Assembly of the Poor movement is made the public understand more about the impact, right? But I think right now, compared with 30 years ago, I think the interest of the people in relate to energy, right, as a consumer, as a whole picture, not only relate to hydropower dam, have gained more interest, at least more analysis. Like we pay more, why, right? When we have enough electricity or even more than enough energy, why we have to keep paying for the project from outside, that something like that. So I think, yeah, more or less, I think more kind of interest from the public. And I think the group around the region, Southeast Asia, Mekong region, that understand the issue of hydropower dam definitely became more in the past decade, in my opinion.
And how is it like in South America?
Yeah, I think, like Young, that the public interest get more increased. The people want to know more about the energy they consume, but in the about the state level, the state in Brazil was more involved in the construction of the dams in the past. Now there are many private companies, so it's a big problem for the people. When the state was more involved in the past, we can achieve more rights for the people. Not that the state is good, but we can do more did more struggles and put more pressure in the state. So now we have to face to the international companies. So it's a bit more difficult to do the struggles and to confront the companies, but this helps us to understand all the pictures in all the world, what companies are involved in other countries, so it's a good thing to understand. And we try to talk with the people, the common people, about the price of the energy. In Brazil, the main resource of electricity is hydropower dams, so it's an important point to talk with the people, and people are interested in know about this. We have 2 big dams in Brazil, and the Belo Monte Dam in the Amazon region. So this creates some interest of the people outside of the Amazon region to understand the impacts and to see what people affected are facing there.
I think we have a question. Yeah.
Thank you for this amazing discussion. I have 2 questions. One is more grounded. I like to ask people working in communities that whether there is a corporate presence within these communities when NGOs are trying to, for example, educate them on greenwashing and green economy. Is there a corporate presence trying to convince them that they are are they trying to like win them over in ways that they are making their own narratives of what a good life is, and that they're providing them or like promising them different livelihood strategies? And if that is, what are the actual changes of the livelihood strategies? Like, were there agricultural workers transformed into hydroelectricity, like dam construction workers, or are they still kind of not provided with livelihood issues? Livelihood strategies. So this is more like the first question that's more like ground-based. The other one is I would like to ask whether there are narrative strategies that you find important when talking with different stakeholders, when the word greenwashing or the green economy, that seems so obviously fake to this circle of NGOs and I would say like radical left people, a circle, like that doesn't really translate to other stakeholders such as institutions or government official departments. What are the sort of language shifts that you use to communicate with these people? And yeah, thank you so much. That's my question.
Okay. No, let me talk about the carbon projects from in the Amazon that I know most. There are NGOs who are believing that these carbon projects, they can conserve the forest, they can bring benefit to the communities. Very much the conservation NGOs, the big conservation NGOs. I mean the transnational conservation NGOs. You have this Wildlife Fund. You have transnational how is it called? TNC, the Nature Conservancy, you have Conservation International. They are very well present, but they don't go to the communities. They normally go higher into the government to, for example, TNC is writing the whole bioeconomy policy and carbon credit policy of the main government in the Amazon, the Para government, which is, if it would be a country, would be the third or fourth country with deforestation. It's huge. So they are very powerful actors. I mean, there are also companies, all kind of names, Amazon Carbon, Carbon for the People, Live the Amazon, all kind of names you can imagine. It's a new business opportunity. So often we say, like, you know, I was just telling that this whole carbon projects inside the green economy, it's a big failure for the forest, because deforestation continues in the Amazon because of agribusiness, because of mining, but it's not a failure for everyone. It continues, especially because it's a lot of money for consultants, it's a lot of money for these big conservation NGOs, and for all kinds of new NGOs that come up. So I think it's a big problem for communities because they come into areas that so far were not really incorporated into the global economy, to say so, into the consumption society. I was some time ago in a meeting with indigenous peoples in the Amazon, and they were discussing spirituality in these times of carbon projects, and really it was really interesting, really deep discussion on, yeah, what should we do? I mean, they are really being, it's an assault to the people. They are really being, you know, in the morning comes one company, sometimes they receive several companies on the same day. And for me, it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, of all the promises made, not so much is happening. There are some jobs, you were talking about workers, maybe in what kind of alternatives do they get? A very interesting job is like the one who should take care of the forest in a more, you know, like guards in the guarding way, and actually he should be a guard to look if their own people are going into the forest and don't take out a tree or this and that. So the division I was talking about is really strong issue. All the communities get divided in some way or another because of these projects. Many new influences come in, so it's really, I think, in the deepest sense, it's a strategy to incorporate also these people into the globalized economy. So it's a very serious issue. But there are no actually benefits. I think the terminology to finish, yeah, these carbon projects, they were called 15 years ago REDD, reduction of emissions from deforestation, forest degradation. Nobody understood what it is. Actually, nowadays, nobody still understands what is this forest carbon. Even inside the oldest carbon projects, they still don't know, because nobody ever had a deep conversation about what this stands for, what is behind. But it's funny how capitalism, how the big conservation NGOs, who are strong allies of the capitalism, they think about it, that we should have terms that are more easily to not talk about greenwashing, but nowadays they talk about nature-based solutions. It has come in 2009, you know, something, it's still there. They're still talking, using it. I'm not sure if it will be like the new sustainable development. Because sustainable development is something from the past. It's still used, but we should have something more nicer, you know. Nature-based solutions is really nice. And it covers somehow all of what we have been talking about in terms of green economy solutions, nature-based solutions. So they really consciously thinking of terms that everyone can digest easily and
Yes, maybe I try to talk about the community in the ground. So in the first level, we facing the ideological matters like modernization. A lot of Punan communities also want become the like cities people or modernized and like that, and it also linking with the history of colonization and also history of the new order of Indonesia in the very beginning of this republic. So the first layer problem is we facing the ideological problem. The second is a lot of related to the like the regulation, policy and the others. So in Indonesia there is no transparency and comprehensive information giving to the communities. So in the grassroots communities, the government coming and they talking with the communities. You can choose, you get the compensation money, or you can choose the relocation. And if we see the regulation, it also linking with the LARAP or the land acquisition and resettlement program. And a lot of problem also, the community in the remote areas didn't know their basic right. So the company very easily to say, if you don't want to get this compensation money, you can go to the court. You can struggle and fight about the compensation in the court. If very ordinary people, indigenous peoples, communities in the remote area facing this, usually they will choosing to get the compensation because there is no comprehensive and very full transparency information about their basic right. Even in this our regulation, there is another article about they can protest, they can say no, and it will be there is a mechanism for the academici and the others of the researcher and the others help to make a counter research as a recommendation to the government. But this article never telling to the communities. So what happened is only if they refuse, they will get the resettlement or the relocation places, and the quality of the new place is very totally different with the originally place that already in the forest. It's like for the example, for the access to the forest, the access to the water, and the access to the economy. So in Mentarang cases, in the hydropower plant in Mentarang by Adaro, they already choose to resettlement, and until now they got nothing and hard to access to the forest. And in the history, the Punan traditional or indigenous people is very depend on forest for hunting, for getting fish in the river, but now they can access again. So the problem is there is a lot of layer. The first layer is about the ideology that we are facing about the between city and village problem, and then the crisis also on the ground. They're facing a lot of regulation, even environmental impact assessment. There is no transparency to them. Also, there is no socialization and discuss about the negative impact and the others. Even the Ministry of Environmental of Indonesia say there is no emission problem in this project. They call it this is clean energy. This is good for everyone. So we are facing this kind of this dogma about this, the doctrine of the clean energy at the same time. So the important thing is how to strengthen their confidence that their knowledge is powerful. It's not it's life that can be used as a weapon to defend their territory. So we try to learning together to facilitate and to push this this knowledge from the ground as a equal knowledge to the modern knowledge as the problem now who are facing with the communities on the ground. So that's the situation. Another is there is always there is a elite, some elite from the communities who have been recruited by the company, like in the cases of Kayan, they getting some elite to going to China to see another hydro dam, and they giving the information this is good for communities and good for the nation, for Indonesian people. And also going they also recruit some elite going to Sarawak to see another hydropower. So that's the strategy of the company, how to get the permission from the from the social license, to getting social license from the communities. That's their tactic.
Okay. Thank you, Mera. I hope it answers your question. And maybe to highlight on from your second questions about how should civil societies communicate about greenwashing with the local communities and the public. Maybe Leticia, can you also talk briefly about the upcoming the People Summit in COP30? Because in November this year, the UN climate conference is quite important because it's it will be the first time that it will be held in South America and in Brazil, which is the hub of biodiversity and tropical rainforest. And this upcoming UN climate conference is also it's the time for each country to review their contribution, the national plan, whether they want to increase their ambitious goals to mitigate climate change or not. So I wonder whether how do you work with the communities and the public to prepare for the upcoming COP30s?
Yes, for us, the COPs are a space that people maybe can participate but not solve the problem of the people, so know this. And because what we talked already here, that the companies and the states are involved in construction the COP, and they want to talk about green solutions like an opportunity to make more profit, and to talk about energy transition like an opportunity to earn more money. But we have to put popular pressure what they will do in Brazil, in Belém, on November. So we are organizing the 4th International Meeting of People Affected by Dams from 7th until 12th November, there in Belém, in Pará state, and from 12th until 16th, we are organizing with other 700 organizations the People Summit, that it's an alternative of COP to put pressure, to give our message, to put our message in the COP, to spread our messages around the world, to use the space there, the visibility of COP, to show what the people are suffering, what is the proposal of the people. So we are organizing this People Summit from 12th until 16th of November to put pressure in the COP, to push pressure in the governments, and to show to the world what people propose on this on this energy transition. What is the energy transition the people want and the people needs, not the one they want to do and they will promise to do in COP. Is this?
Thank you. Anyone on the floor have more questions? Or online participants? If not, I would love to ask. Okay.
So, thank you for sharing all the important details and all the information. But for me personally, as someone who is not condensed and researching deeply, but can any one of you give the easy description about how fake green is important to the movement of the environmental situation in the world?
So you mean fake green is important to the environment? Greenwashing. Because it's deceptive, isn't it? So for example, my students getting, all the green consumerism stuff, and then they are so proud. They think they are contributing to all the, actions for climate change, and they have eco bag, but actually having eco bag, like thousands of them, will destroy the earth in a, it's affecting. So fake green is making people feeling safe and content. Therefore, it sort of stops people from acting upon really important questions. So not even thinking about what is green or not green, because they are told that it's green. So that is something I think for someone who is teaching and dealing with undergraduate students at university, it's quite difficult to communicate with students who actually believe things are greener than before. But so I always try to point them out that it isn't. So there are, you are using maybe clean energy or EV, but what's behind it? Where they come from, different nickels or all the rare earths or strategic minerals that's switching all the time.
Yeah, I think capitalism, which is now the main economic system, right? The logic is about not only profit making, but also growing productivity without limits. And I think we all are somehow linked to this environmental debate, which is quite recent, right? Like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, the first international conference to discuss about environment, and it's a lot of problems already, pollution and deforestation, and at some point capitalism reacted like, listen, our system functions like this, and instead of saying like we're doing the right thing, now the only wrong thing we did is not include nature in our market yet. We didn't put a price on nature so that because if nature would have a price, it could continue, it would be a product. And this whole idea of nature pricing, which is totally part of the green economy, which is this complex thing, and also this thing that really narrows our mind, talking about carbon in the forest. I mean, which community is talking about carbon? No community. Talking about life, talking about home, right? Only talking about carbon because there's a carbon market, carbon credits, but it doesn't function, and it has been showed that it doesn't function, but still, we have so much evidence that it doesn't function, still they insist in going this same way. And now with the climate problem, which is basically maybe the main environmental problem, and it hits not people following the American lifestyle and having a nice life in the US or in other industrialized centers, but it's hitting the communities. It's hitting the Amazon. The Amazon has had 2 drought periods in the past few years that have basically not happened yet in history, and according to the scientists, it's slowly going to become a savanna ecosystem, not anymore forest. And with all the impacts that that will have. So I think it's the system, I think the whole green economy, the whole idea, what would be the benefit for the capitalists? Because at the end of the day, the capitalists will also suffer. Although some of them, they are exploring how they can live in other planets, right? They are going to other planets, but most will stay here. And actually, the green economy is about, exploring a few more decades, these fossil fuels, because they are so extremely profitable, for the economy. At the expense of, so many things. Just a few decades give us some more profit, and inequality in the world is only increasing. We are now having the billionaires, and the whole financial system, financial markets is based on more extractive industries profiting. So I think this is all very huge. And like Leticia said, the COP in the Amazon, we have no influence at all on that. But still, we need to put pressure. We need to find ways to understand this. We need to find ways to overcome our division and to build a movement. Because from the ground, that's the best place to analyze all of this, because they get the impact of climate change. They get all these interference, and that I think that's our challenge,
Okay, maybe I can try a little bit. I think the question is simply like why we have to pay attention to this issue of fake green, right? And I think the question came from the young people. I would, if I interpret the question correctly, I think it simply is because you are part of it, right? I think in the, in the world that everyone said we don't have much left, right? And we need to keep, to save our world. Let's go green. I think most of us are being in a very shallow level, right? When you said that you have to use less electricity, plug off your telephone. Not very many people understand that 5 provinces in Thailand, the whole population of the maybe 5 small provinces in Thailand use electricity less than 2 department store in Bangkok. No, so you are under the rhetoric, Somebody told you that you should do this, do that to save the world, and you are part of it. You are. So what I hope, maybe it's not the answer, but my own wish is that we are able to dive deeper, in the world that have a lot higher technology compared with 4 decades ago. How come people are having very shallow analysis? The young people should do better. Otherwise, nobody can keep the world, right? It's gone. So the more critical thinking, really understand what exactly is that, the green? What are we talking about? And why? Why we have to? I think the question is very important, why we have to care about this. Yeah. Thank you.
Want to I believe that all panelists here agree with the point that this theme, the fake greens, you guys are not against the green solutions. You guys are not these activists in the past 10 years you have been fighting against coal-fired power plants, and now the government is not developing coal-fired power plant anymore, and they are pushing for hydropowers and EV, and now you are opposing it again. Yeah, but I understand that you guys are not opposing the projects or any solution, or you are not suggesting we shouldn't do anything to solve climate crisis, right? But you guys are questioning whether why these solutions are fake and could it be better, and so we really put effort and energy and money into something that really benefits the environment and the people, and can people take part of it? People customers, students, or ordinary people, that they can really benefit from the new solutions, not just being deceived and by these fake greens and just pursue it in the wrong way. So anyone have one last word? Or Pian, can you briefly talk us about the Mao event? Like what should we looking for in the upcoming days?
Actually, the actual activity discussion it will be 3 days, right? From 28 to 30 of September. You can follow what will happen online. Actually, we have a Mao website, and we try to put everything in there. You will see the screen with our YouTube live stream like today on our website, and we have the YouTube channel. We were very excited to know that there will be almost 300 people in Mao. It's going to be the biggest Mao ever. We were thinking that having it in the province like Nakhon Phanom, maybe less people would join us, but it turns out more people. So even us now who have been, organizing Mao, we are really looking forward to see what's going to happen in Mao. And once again, I have to say that nobody, or not only a few groups that make Mao happen, no, everyone are the part of Mao, and let's make this event continue until now. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the session, and thank you for all for coming here today.
Thank you.